All right, so first up, we're going to be talking about eviction help. We know that right now is a time where a lot of people have lost jobs, being furloughed, or your job just went away for whatever reason due to COVID. And eviction is something that many of you might be facing, or some of you might be facing. So we wanted to pull on an expert in our community who could help support you through this process. So we have Tammy Greer here from Gulfcoast Legal Services. She is the executive director. I'm going to read her bio so that you can get a little bit more information about her. So Tammy Greer is the executive director of Gulfcoast Legal Services. She has a master's degree in public administration and nearly 30 years of experience in nonprofit management, including fundraising, grant writing, budgeting, compliance, and quality assurance. Her work in legal aid is complemented by experience in early childhood and post-secondary education, children's services, and healthcare. Her greatest accomplishment is having raised 3 incredible children who are now happy, well-adjusted adults. All right, Tammy, so take it away. Share all that good information that we came here to get.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph, and thank you for having me. So as she said, I am the executive director of Gulfcoast Legal Services. One thing you did not hear in my bio is that I'm an attorney, and that's because I am not an attorney. I do the fundraising and the administration and run the office, and I let the attorneys do what they are amazing at, which is all of the legal work. So I wanted to speak about the status of housing and evictions, because that's one of the areas that we are seeing just a huge surge of demand for in our work right now. So what are local families facing? One of the things that we have seen in addition to eviction calls is a significant increase in calls regarding domestic violence. And there are some crossovers in those two. The federal government is doing all sorts of studies about what's going on with the pandemic, and I'm sure you all have read all sorts of stuff in the newspapers and online and seen news reports. But something that I think is really important is that mothers in particular are really having a tough time during this pandemic. And the reason we are so focused on domestic violence and eviction and the crossover, particularly between those two, is because mothers who experience homelessness, they see an increase in traumatic stress. Sometimes the children end up being abused or neglected. Interpersonal violence, that's the domestic violence that occurs. Depression and other mental health issues, and then substance abuse issues tend to be on the rise. So all of this kind of exacerbates what's going on. And so it's more than just, okay, they don't have a roof over their head. There are all these other factors that come about as a result of being evicted from your home. So what does this do to the children? Well, obviously they don't have a home, but what does that mean? So the children know what's going on, and even small children can be impacted if they are evicted. They worry about where they're going to live. What if they can't take their dog or their cat or their hamster? What about their belongings? There's nothing worse than coming home and finding that all of your things have been thrown out on the lawn, which is literally happening in our community right now. Many of the children are going hungry. There's physical and behavioral health outcomes, so it's impacting their ability to learn, how they're functioning in school. They're experiencing family separation. Sometimes you have multiple family within one home. And then, of course, back to domestic violence. People get stressed. There are money issues. And then it just results in domestic violence. So we try to help with all of these different things. Next slide, please. So what does GLS do? Gulfcoast Legal Services. We provide direct legal services. That means we have attorneys on staff. They are paid by us. They're licensed attorneys. We have paralegals who support them. and they provide services. The services are free to low-income individuals or victims of crime. So if you're a victim of domestic violence, even if you're over our income requirements, we don't even require any of that. All you have to do is tell us that you're a victim of domestic violence, and we will help you. We want to keep you safe. So the things that we can help with, there's financial stability advocacy. So if you're having issues with, you've got creditors calling you, you've got people harassing you, they're trying to repossess your car because you lost your job and you can't make your car payments. You have tax problems, tax issues, something going on. The IRS is calling you or sending you notices. You can't get your disability approved. You've been denied food stamps, but you know that you qualify. You are elderly, or you have an elderly parent or a disabled child, and you need a living will. All of those kinds of things, anything that impacts your money, we can help through our financial stability unit. The reason I'm telling you what all these units are is because if you call our office, you're gonna have prompts on the phone to pick which unit you need. So I'm just trying to very quickly cover this so that you know where to call and what buttons to press, basically. And we also have Spanish-speaking paralegals. So if you call our office, you will have the option to communicate completely in Spanish. The next is housing advocacy, and that is eviction defense. If you are facing foreclosure, if you think that you've been discriminated against in housing, if someone has refused to rent to you because you have small children, or because you're older, or because you are an immigrant, any of those kinds of areas, fair housing, eviction, foreclosure, we can help you with. Domestic violence, what we help with in terms of family law, if you need a divorce to get away from your abuser, if you are in need of assistance to get child support, whether you're married or not, if you need to establish paternity, any of those kinds of things, because we realize that sometimes people can't leave their abuser because they don't have any way to live. They don't have any support. They depend on that person for housing, for financial support. So we will help navigate all that. We will work with the local shelters like CASA and RCS. We work very closely with other agencies. Immigration advocacy, similarly, if you are a victim of domestic violence and you're an immigrant, you may qualify for a special visa to be able to stay here and to be documented. Similarly, if you're a victim of human trafficking, we have a very large human trafficking program. So if you're a victim of any crimes and you're an immigrant, please call us, because we may be able to help you get your documentation. So that's just in very broad strokes what we do. It's a lot to cover, but I just wanted to introduce that. So thank you for humoring me on that part. So now let's get to the meat of it. So what's going on? So we have been getting lots of calls. People are starting to get nervous because they have heard about the CDC moratorium on evictions. It's a temporary halt on evictions, but that expires this month. I cannot believe it's December. So we have 30 more days, and then this expires, and then there are no more protections if you have not paid your rent because of COVID. So we all know what's happening. People have lost their jobs. As Dr. Joseph was saying, they've been furloughed. Their hours have been cut. They were off for a couple of months. Then they were called back possibly. So people owe all this money. Even under the CDC moratorium, all that means is really that you just can't get kicked out. You still owe all that money. So we need to help you, one, communicate with the landlord, and two, to try to help you get that money. I also thought it was important that we share this, and this information is on our website, and you can see the information at the bottom. And I've also put the link in the chat so that you can get to our website so that you can see all of this information. I certainly don't expect anybody to remember all this, but the most important thing is to remember that the money is still owed. The CDC moratorium only pertains to evictions for non-payment of rent. So if you violated your lease in another way, they can still kick you out. And some landlords are trying to do that. We have some really good landlords in Pinellas County, but we also have some bad actors. And so please, 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 if you remember nothing else, just remember that you can call us. It always, always, always is better if you have an attorney on your side, because trust me, they will have an attorney on their side. And an eviction is a lawsuit. It's not an automatic process. You have to do certain things to be protected under the CDC moratorium. So I encourage you, if you have not paid rent, if you still owe any rent from March to now, please, please, please call us. Next slide, please. So just a few things that if you haven't been paying your rent, I wanted to cover this really quickly because we have heard some really bad stories lately. Landlords are trying to get people out, even if they're not really allowed to. But there are some things that they absolutely are not allowed to do. That means this is illegal. They cannot do this. They cannot shut off your utilities. They cannot change your locks without letting you know and giving you a key. They can't remove your locks, your roof, your walls, your windows, unless they're repairing them, and they need to give you notice. And they cannot remove your things. They cannot just put your things out on the sidewalk unless you have been through the entire legal process. So next slide, please. So what can we do? The biggest thing that we can do right now, we have CARES Act money, just like the county had, just like you could get through 211, but here's the difference. 211 has a cutoff for when they can stop processing applications because they get so many and they can help with so many different things. We don't have that cutoff yet. We're going to go until the money runs out or until December 31st, whichever hits us first. So if you owe any rent, if you owe late fees, please, please, please call us, because what we will do is we will try to work things out with your landlord. We're going to do everything we can to avoid even going to court. We're going to figure out how much money you legitimately owe them, and we're going to get you that money. We're partnering with the Pinellas Opportunity Council. You can't get to the money unless you come through a legal aid program. But if you call us, we work with them, they issue a check, and they're turning those checks around in a matter of days. So it's not like you have to wait 6 weeks. It's not like you have to do all these things to qualify. You just have to call us. There are some papers that we'll have you submit to prove that it's actually related to COVID, that you haven't just not paid your rent because you didn't want to. We will help you with the CDC declaration to make sure that you qualify under that, if you want protection under that. And then if you say, if you work with us and you have other issues going on, we can help you out with the financial stability issues that I mentioned before, with any other legal issues. And we will work with you to decide what your best option is based upon your income. Does it make sense for you to stay there, because all these protections under the CDC moratorium will end the end of this month. So what's the plan for January? If you already have a lawsuit pending, meaning your landlord has already filed for an eviction, we can also help you through our partnership with the community law program through mediation. They've already filed the lawsuit, then it's in the court's hands, but we can kind of pull it aside and work through the mediation process and still pay all that back rent and late fees for you. I cannot express strongly enough how important it is to at least get this money so that you can pay whatever you still owe. Even if you've gotten money from 211, you can still qualify for assistance through our program. Even if you've gotten $5,000 from them, we don't have a cap on ours. It just has to be prudent, which basically means our attorney works with your landlord and works out how much you owe. So you'll walk away owing zero. We can get you paid all the way through December now. And at least that won't go on your credit bureau report. At least you will have, you'll be able to stay in your home through the holidays. And then maybe there will be more assistance. We are hoping and praying that something else comes for January. But we all do this work because we want to help the folks in the community. And I just want to let you know that we're here. And if you owe any rent, please call us and let us help you. We do not want people to be homeless. we want to help you with any of the legal issues. I know people don't often think of lawyers as social workers, but our team really is more like social workers. They're nice. They're doing this not for the money, because we don't pay them a whole lot, but they're doing it because they genuinely care. So again, I'll say it 100 times. Please call us. Please go online, fill out an application if you have access to the internet, and let us help you get this money so that you can get paid. Let us talk with you and help you figure out a plan moving forward. So next slide, please. So how do you contact us? Right here. We have an 800 number. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You can leave voicemails. I encourage you to leave a voicemail if no one answers. We are getting a lot of calls, so please do leave a message. It will get returned. We try to respond within 24 hours. If you have access to the internet, like I said, if you go to our website, gulfcoastlegal.org, you can apply 24 hours a day. And people will contact you typically within one business day. What day notice from a landlord, a 5-day notice, your landlord has said that he's going to file a notice, or you're a victim of domestic violence and you really need to get out of the situation, please make them aware of that, because those clients are prioritized and we contact them first for obvious reasons, because they are really time sensitive. So those are the ways to contact us. And if you want to call our local number, I can put it in the chat as well, but that number is 727-821-0726. So I think I did that in 10 minutes. I hope I did that in 10 minutes. It was a lot. So thank you so much.